Hello, and welcome to a broadcast that's produced by the Friends of Terry Virgil. I'm Terry Virgil, the host of this program, and the title of the program is "The Platform of the Democratic Party." Now, some people would wonder why, as a conservative and a liberal and a libertarian, I would come up and decide to say, why would I come up with the platform of the Democratic Party? Let me read you some of the stuff that the Democratic Party does believe in, by the way. Number one, that slavery is to be the law of the land. Number two, blacks are not to hold any public office, have the right to vote, but they have to vote for a white man only. This is still in effect with the platform of the Democratic Party, by the way. And this thing is also a little scary, and for you that don't want to believe it, that's fine. And yes, I did the research on this. And let's put it this way. The Democratic Party is to support the Ku Klux Klan, or known as the KKK. And here's the other thing, too, and this goes all the way back. I mean, back prior to this century, by the way. And some of the last century got introduced, too. The platform of the Democratic Party, and this is something here too, is to support all communism and all forms of communism, and that's it. And that's what the Democratic Party does support. That's still their platform, by the way. They haven't changed that part of the platform, but they have done one thing. They made it so that people have got to vote for them so that they could dictate to the world. And here's another part of the Democratic Party that maybe you should know about and understand, is that when you listen to what they are saying, and yes, I did get, like I said, I got a lot of stuff from the platform. Some of this goes all the way back to the early days, but it's still still in effect. They have not yet amended it, and they have not yet even discussed it. Here's another part of the platform too that you might want to understand too. And we talk about Common Core standards today. Here's the thing that the Democratic Party came up with their platform in education. Every child is to be educated by the government, and parents have no rights whatsoever to tell the government how their child is to be educated. And everything is to be taught according to the government. Kind of interesting that you look at some of these things that come from different parties and different groups. And yes, if you look at what Bernie Sanders is saying and Hillary Clinton are saying, they're saying exactly the same thing as the platform of the Democratic Party. Matter of fact, Hillary Clinton says we got to stop the hate. So does Bernie Sanders. And so does everybody else in the Democratic Party. Here's why. According to the platform of the Democratic Party, slavery is to be kept in place and put in place to keep people under control. Let me read that again to you. Slavery is to be kept in place and put in place to keep people under control. Now, that includes, if you disagree with the Democratic Party, you are to be put into slavery and bondage. And yes, both slavery and bondage go together. Let me put a few other phrases in here too, and I'm going to read it right straight from the Democratic Party. Did you know that if a state would disagree with and wanted to have states' rights, there are no states' rights underneath the Democratic Party? Here is part of their platform: to annul or to eliminate the 10th Amendment and to get rid of Article 1, Section 8, Paragraph 1 through 20. Well, let's put it this way. That is what the Democrats like to do, and they are putting it in place even more and more as we speak. Did you know that the issues that are in today's Democratic Party primary election are the very same issues that they had over 100 years ago and still brought up? They want no interference whatsoever on change. They want no interference on the economy. They want no interference on anything. Here's another point, too, I'd like to bring up. I'm going to read you this. This is kind of interesting. The Democratic Party platform will state that the economics of the United States of America are to fall under the control of the Democratic Party and the United States government. Pretty interesting words right there as we read them. Kind of scary, isn't it? Kind of interesting as you can see it. I'm going to give you another piece of platform too, that taxes are to be increased so that the idea of having a stable economy is the only way to do it. And the debt ceiling is to be raised each and every time it's needed to. Well, we've talked probably about 5 minutes or even 7 minutes about the platform of the Democratic Party. I've got some information by doing some research, looking at exactly what it's all about. If you read the platform of the Democratic Party, it says no place in there about freedom and liberty. None whatsoever. It talks about slavery of the people. It talks about, yes, they support today, they put it in quotation marks, support the rights of different groups of people with different pigmentation, such as blacks, Orientals, Mexicans, and so forth. They support that. But here's the thing of it is, when they go back to the original platform or the platform of the Democratic Party as it stands without the amendments or anything being crossed out or voted out, they secretly will support that as long as those groups vote to keep a white person in power, according to the Democratic Party. There's one boo-boo that the Democratic Party made: Obama. Of course, Obama is a little bit different than a traditional Democratic Party person. That's why we're going to separate those two. Yes, he is a dictator. Yes, he thinks he's got the power to control. But let's go to Hillary Clinton and Bernie Sanders. Let's focus on Hillary Clinton a little bit more. Now, I do listen to, and yes, it is my job to listen to the candidates and to give an unbiased view of what the candidates come from when asked. And I do. Believe me, I do. This is really kind of fascination and interest. And I'm putting it out there to give you voters today exactly what's going on, especially in the Wisconsin primary. The Wisconsin primary is key right here. If Bernie Sanders could get enough delegates, he could possibly win the nomination for the Democratic Party. Hillary Clinton would have lost twice, which means that she's a born loser. And that's it. But let's focus on Hillary Clinton for one thing. As you know, the Democratic Party has adopted the Communist Manifesto as part of their party platform, written by Karl Marx. They like those, they call it progressive ideas, which is what it is, on free education, equal pay, equality across the board for those who are sexually immoral, and I'll put it in quotation marks, homosexuals, queers, gays, transgendered, transsexuals, and so forth. Sexually immoral. That's what that group should be called. There's no political correctness on this part with me. But when you look at that, they also are stating, if you look at blacks cannot hold any political office according to the platform, and they'll say that they have the right to vote and stuff like that. Here's what that, if you put that with what they say about the blacks, is nobody within those special interest groups can hold a public office or should be allowed to work in the public office. Yes, they will say, okay, come on aboard, we'll let you be the Secretary of State, for example, and I'm using that as an example, but you can't be you cannot be in the office of president. That's just what it says right there, according to the platform. And if we look at their idea of freedom and liberty, it doesn't exist. None. No place. I haven't seen it yet. And yes, I have examined the other party too, which is the Republican Party. And yes, it does exist in the Republican Party. So does common sense. So does a few other things, but they've changed their platform a little bit. I'm thinking about going into that detail too. But here's the thing. When you stick with the same platform as you've had for hundreds of years, and you haven't changed, and you have this idea of saying, it's okay to be a member of the Ku Klux Klan, we'll support you. We would like your vote because we want to support you as the special interest groups. They're more interested in special interests than the majority, the moral majority. And the moral majority would be those who believe in one man and one woman only to be married. That's morality. And they believe in also, if you're going to use the bathroom in a public place, you are to use the one that's designed for your sexual orientation. If you want to be politically correct, it's called gender. And that's the way it is. Now let's go to Hillary Clinton even a little bit more. She's in favor of stabilizing the economy by raising taxes. She has not said those words, but people are not dumb. We can read, and we can read real good. We don't have to be hit